Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's right here. And I got a little video for you here in regards to the team deathmatch spawns in Battlefield Hardline after the patch. The recent Battlefield patch just came, or Battlefield Hardline patch just came out yesterday, and I wanted to kind of go over how it affects some of the team deathmatch spawns. So what I've done here, and just to give you a little preview about this video you're going to be seeing here, basically what I did was I went into team deathmatch in what I thought were the two biggest culprits of the bad spawn system previous to the patch in Battlefield Hardline. That would be the Block, which you're seeing now, and a little later you'll see some gameplay on Riptide. I just felt those were the worst cases of where you would get consistently bad spawns, jumping in, immediate spawn deaths, and things like that. And so what I've done here is I've basically given you raw gameplay footage. The only thing I've edited is the time in between deaths. So really what you got going on here is a run through giving you an idea of the team deathmatch spawn system and maybe how it's a little different now. Now, in my personal opinion, this map here, it's fixed, but it's probably as good as it's gonna get. I woke up, and usually when I wake up, like a lot of you guys do, what I'll do is I'll wake up, I make breakfast in the morning, and I sit there and with my morning coffee, get the newspaper out, read the news, and then get caught up on what's going on in the Battlefield community by watching other YouTube videos, YouTubers I like, Twitch streamers, things like that, to get an idea about what's going on. And I was surprised by a lot of the negativity coming out of some of my favorite Battlefield YouTubers out there in regards to the most recent patch. It was almost like they weren't celebrating what actually they did do, and were complaining that not enough was done, that certain things weren't done that should have been obviously done, like nerfing the M16 and the M416, things like that. And one of the things I heard a lot of complaining about, quite honestly, was the team deathmatch spawn system really wasn't fixed that well, and that you still have the problems with you dying on certain maps immediately, insta-death, things like that. And some of these people mentioned the Block, this map for example. I don't think it's necessarily a issue with the let me rephrase that. I don't think it's necessarily an issue with the spawn system itself, as more of it is just this specific map alone. It's a small map. It's got very particular sight lines, and unfortunately when you have such a small map, such a large amount of players, 64 players, you're going to have issues where I think no matter what, it's going to come from time to time. You're going to have these spawn deaths, instant spawn and then die. And I think that's kind of the issue you have here with the Block. It is better. I do feel it is a little bit better. It's only marginally better though after the patch, and I think that's because of the spawn system just being not enough to kind of outdo the map design. I think this would have played better if maybe it was only 48 players or 32 players or something of that nature, rather than the 64 players you have. Because the fact is that even if they adjust the spawn system to where you can you're not going to spawn in front of enemies all the time and things like that, there are still going to be times, as you see right here, where you're going to spawn in the middle of the map or in the middle of the road, and it'd be real easy if a sniper was looking down that road on either side for him to get you. So I think it's just a fact that the map itself is designed a way to where it's not going to work very well, and you're still going to get spawn kills just because of how it is in team deathmatch. Now on the flip side of that, what you'll see here shortly is the clips that I have on Riptide. And Riptide, it seems to be very much fixed. Now granted, these I only played a little bit. I've been real busy with work lately, so I haven't got to get in and do several rounds on each of these maps, for example. But I can immediately tell in Riptide that it seemed fixed, and it seemed like it was working a lot better, and you weren't spawning just out in the middle of that grassy knoll area and then having guys immediately shoot you. Now that doesn't mean it won't happen. Again, map design, these are small maps fitting 64 players. it's probably bound to happen once in a while, even a couple times on the map. But the fact is that they wanted to get away from the constant, you know, spawn death scenarios that a lot of players were getting into right away. And I can tell there is a very marginal improvement on this map, the Block, but as you'll see here in these next clips on Riptide, it seems to be very much fixed. And I think it's because when I seem to spawn on Riptide, I was spawning even sometimes in that grassy knoll area, but it would be away from certain enemies. So it'd be inside a building. It would be, you know, less of the spawning on the outside where you're in the line of sight of enemies. And now if I did spawn on the outside, it was kind of away from where the action was. It was in a safe spot near some of my teammates, which is what you want in these games and in this game type. You just want to consistently spawn where you're not going to, you know, just automatically spawn in and you're getting shot at. As you'll see here in this clip, I just spawn in, and I'm actually kind of somewhat close to some enemies, and I'm able to get some kills. So it's not a perfect system, but it is better than it was, and I think that's what Visceral kind of asked for. Maybe I'm seeing it as, you know, the glass is half full. Maybe I'm seeing it through rose-colored glasses. But I don't want to sit there and, you know, and get negative on these game developers who I know, personally work very, very, very hard and put their heart and soul into these games and getting them right and fixing them and tweaking them and things like that. And we're almost, as gamers and just as people in general, just a little too greedy and too wanting, and it's so much of, you know, well, you fixed this but you didn't fix this, so I'm still gonna crap on it. And that's just a horrible attitude, I think, to have, is to say, oh, well, you fixed all this stuff, but hey, it wasn't the stuff I wanted fixed, or it wasn't the stuff a lot of us wanted fixed. You know what? They've done a good job in these Battlefield games of getting them fixed and working on them throughout their life cycle after release. I've played games where you play a game and you barely see any post-release type of support for the game. That doesn't happen in the Battlefield games. In Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline here now, we're getting post-release patches. They're letting us know what's coming. They're letting us know that this isn't going to be the only one. They're going to work on other stuff and get it out there. And I think it's kind of sad that a lot of prominent, you know, people in the Battlefield community, the fan community and the fan site community, will really be so negative towards these, you know, the developers and the work these guys put in to try to make the game better. I'm glad this patch came out. I already think it plays and feels like it plays better. I got to play one match of Hotwire, and I was really excited to play that Hotwire now that you know there's less RPGs, and I can tell, hey, you know what, the RPGs are still there, there's still a threat of them there, but it's not nearly the spamming that was going on before the patch because of the adjustments they made there. I also enjoyed the adjustments playing on the Conquest Large maps, where as before you'd play on a map like Derailed, which is one of my favorite Conquest Large maps. And you play on that map, and the match would last, if you're lucky, 5 minutes. It would go by so quick because of the low ticket count. Now it lasts a lot longer, and you get to really get into the game and have a lot of fun with it, and I really enjoyed that. I like that on the consoles there's rent-to-servers now, and you can find servers that do specific things and specific map rotations. I've liked the gun balancing. I think what they've done with the battle rifles, and you see I'm carrying one here, is a lot better. I haven't tried the DMRs out yet, but I did try the battle rifles out. I tried out the K10, and the K10, you know what, guys? They didn't completely nerf it to where it's broken and it now is an unusable weapon. It's still a very powerful weapon up close, but it's now balanced out a little bit more to where you're not going to just eat people away at medium to longer ranges, and that's what it should be. And it's a better balanced weapon now. I like the FNG balance that they did on that SMG that you get when you unlock the Mechanic Syndicate. I was really happy with that, and I've been using that weapon a lot more now, because now it's got that extra punch at distance that really makes it worthwhile. And I think, hey, you know what, I like this, and I'm liking a lot of the tweaks they've done. So rather than get down on a developer, get down on a development studio for not doing the changes you wanted them to do, maybe you should just appreciate the changes they have done and then go from there, and understand that they'll probably get to those changes somewhere down the line as it goes. I think sometimes some of these guys in these communities get a little bit of elitism and think that because they have X amount of subscribers, or they're making these YouTube videos, or getting flown out to all these events by these developers, that somehow there's this kind of I don't exactly want to go out and say that they're being kind of, pig-headed about it, or just, is kind of uppity about it in a way, thumbing their nose kind of at the Battlefield, development teams and stuff like that make these games and put forth the effort into them. Hey, you might not like all the changes, you might not, think that other changes need to be done beforehand, but guess what? It's not up to you. You don't make the game, and just enjoy the changes that are there. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit like and subscribe. Please feel free to comment. And until next time, this is Rai. Take care.